All right, so I'm Sean. This is Dana. We are part of WRATH ARCANE. We started the line 4 years ago as a private label for Brian, who's my business partner. He's not here today. He had a store in Cleveland called Brigade, and he called me sort of out of nowhere because he started seeing a need for private labels for smaller boutiques and less mainstream fashion, trying to bring things more to a regional level. So he called me, and we started talking about a line. And I started learning more about Cleveland's apparel past, which I knew nothing about. And up until about the 50s, we were the second largest garment producing city in the country behind New York. And this is the old Richmond Brothers factory that was on, it's on 55th and Payne. And it was the first ever vertically integrated factory in the US. And now there's nothing in Cleveland. So it started, kind of bumming us out the more we learned about it. And then I started thinking more about other products like, shoes, cell phones, pencils, like, where is it made? How is it made? And usually what you find out is that it's not made in good conditions. Like, it's way overpriced for what it is. The labor's not making any money, and it's all going to the company that owns it. And I started getting bummed about this, and so we came up with the name. This is also more the buildings in Cleveland. We came up with the name WRATH ARCANE because it's like literally means secret anger, and it's, to me, it's about like what you find out about how the products are made. You're usually kind of mad about it, and you want to do something about it. So WRATH ARCANE is sort of our answer to that. And on our hang tags, we put made in the USA, because everything from our brand is made in the US. The wovens and outerwear are made in Chicago, and the knits and bottoms are made in San Francisco. So on our tags, made in the USA, we have our RN number right on there, and we sort of wear the fact that we make everything in the US on our sleeve, and that's our branding. Not models and not fancy, fantasy things. It's about where the products are made. This was our first intern, who you saw in the in the movie, but he was fired after about a week because he pooped in the studio. So after he was fired, this is the back of Brian's first store on West 9th, Brigade. It was a really small studio, maybe 200 square feet. This is Brittany, our sales girl, and that's Brian over there. And part of our process is that we actually make our own patterns, which a lot of people that say they're designers don't know how to do. Like the normal process is there's a bunch of people that call themselves designers. They make a drawing, they send it over to Asia, someone makes all the patterns, someone sources all the fabric, all the trims, puts it together, and it comes back and it's done. But we do everything ourselves. This is the first time we had some press. There was a magazine, Metro Pop, that called us and wanted to do a story on us, and we didn't really have any images or models or anything. So Brian and I were in Los Angeles on a fabric buying trip, and we decided that he was going to be our model because he was already our fit model. Like, he's a medium, and he's a good medium, so we base everything off him. But he didn't want his face to be in the magazine, so we put a mask over his face that said WRATH ARCANE on it, and it ended up actually working out for us because people started recognizing us as this brand that covered the faces, that weren't about models, that weren't about the BS that goes into fashion. It was more about the clothes and what was behind the label. So as the line started growing out of Brian's store, we started going to trade shows and having to have collections and name them and everything. And when it came to naming the products in the lines, I always wanted it to be more about how I felt living in the Midwest. Like, it came from more of an inside, like a Midwest perspective on fashion rather than the coasts or Paris or whatever. So the first collection, Spring Late, was called Wide Awakes, meaning like, hopefully gain some more insight about where the things are made and what actually the selling clothes is all about. These are some looks from the first Spring 08 line. This is the first trade show we did in Vegas called Pool, and this is our first booth. Picture of Brian is awesome. And so after we went to the trade show and we started getting orders and having to ship things, our studio in the back of Brian's store wasn't big enough, so I had to turn my basement into a warehouse basically and build racks and ship things out of there. My wife wasn't very happy about that. Then shortly after that, Gen Art contacted us to do a show in Chicago, which I don't think they're around anymore, but at the time they were really involved in finding new designers that were just starting to emerge and give them a venue and access to press and give them a fashion show, because usually these things are really expensive. So this was our first show in Chicago. And then after that show, the next day, we have a store in Chicago that I was walking past just to kind of see what the product looked like in it, and they had one of our jackets in the window, so this is the first time I ever saw one of our jackets in the window of a store other than Brian's. Fall 08 next season. Recover is the rec going to be over. We design everything 9 months ahead of time, so when I was designing this, Bush was still in office and the economy is just starting to tank. And I was like, when is this wreck going to be over? Like, you know, maybe in New York and LA, people don't feel so bummed out about stuff, but living here, like, you're faced with it every day, you know. So again, this is one of the stronger looks from Fall 08, and this is when we started gaining a lot more stores and attention based on our details. I wanted to talk real quick about this fabric for this jacket. It's a waxed cotton, and as a designer dealing with fabrics every day, you start to see fabrics as having like a personality, like jersey, cotton jerseys, light and fun and everything's great. Waxed cotton is it's really durable, it repels water, it's not really that comfortable, but it ages well and it lasts forever. And it kind of, if you know, if a city or a region would have a personality, I think Cleveland and waxed cotton go together pretty well, so it's something that we use all the time. This is another show in New York that we do, Capsule. This show really helped kind of launch us because it's a smaller trade show. Usually trade shows, they'll give you a booth if you have the money to pay for a booth. This show won't let you in unless they are kind of behind what you're doing. So we started doing this show in New York. They liked the fact that we were from Cleveland and everything's made in the US, and it really opened us up to a lot of international buyers and growth. And this is the show in Vegas where they just, you know, they'll let you go to the show if you have money. So it's way sweeter to kind of be associated with the smaller show in New York. And now New York has a Vegas version, or the Capsule Show in New York has a Vegas show also, so we have to do both. And then with the bigger shows and growth came a bigger studio, which was awesome. This is our new studio on 24th and Superior, and then we were also able to hire Dana as our first assistant designer. This is our magnetic ideal wall, which is awesome. It's a bunch of stainless steel up on the wall with magnets, because we used to use tape and pins and paper and waste a bunch of stuff, so this magnet wall is pretty sweet. And this is also the process of what we go through every season to kind of like pair fabrics with styles and kind of eliminate things. So every 6 months this thing gets full and then we take it back down and fill it back up. Spring '09, the economy started really tanking, and it, you know, as a business owner, it stresses you out, and especially being from the Midwest, trying to sell clothes, it's really stressing you out. But I started thinking about, you know, how things are sort of cyclical, you know, not just with trends or whatever, but like the economy, it's up and it's down, and it's always going to be bad and then it's going to get better. So the name of it was It's Only the End of the World Again, and this really resonated with our buyers too, because they have stores and they had businesses and they're going through it too. So I think that we started building a connection with them based on the fact that we were real people too, you know. Some looks from Spring '08, again, waxed cotton, jean jacket, Cleveland. This was a show in St. Louis that we did. Cities started having fashion weeks other than just New York and LA. Normally it wasn't really, they didn't really gain a lot of momentum because they would just kind of highlight local talent, but St. Louis started bringing in international designers, and we did it for I think 3 or 4 seasons in a row, and it was one of the best experiences because people in the Midwest that aren't on the coast are so hungry and starved to get their hands on things that are actually happening, and when it comes to them, like, the response was amazing. I think they do 3 nights in a row, and they're sold out for, you know, 6 months ahead of time. Like, it's amazing. Fall '09, another, you know, statement on the economy, what it's like to be from the Midwest, one day near victory. Like, are we going to get there? Are things going to get better? This is also when we started gaining our voice as far as what we were becoming known for as designers, with a lot of, you know, strappy knits and things that you can take off and adding volume to the neck, while still maintaining like a sort of minimal silhouette, because you can't really get away in Cleveland with wearing like a bunch of crazy stuff. You can look like a weirdo. So we try to keep the silhouette basic, but then more details within the silhouette to add detail to it. You know, for guys, especially for guys, it's the little things that matter. This is Brittany and I in Paris selling things after we drank some absinthe. This is Brittany on the plane with a hat box. Now, traveling, the way we have to take one of everything. So if we have a 70-piece collection, 2 colorways, it's about 140 garments. It's about 6 giant suitcases, and then with hat boxes and everything, it's kind of a pain in the butt to travel. And the hat box on this trip to go over the Atlantic wouldn't fit in the overhead, and we already reached our maximum on checking bags, and I want to pay $300 for the box, so we had a seat for it. Spring '10. We started doing shoes. We found a shoe company, also in, I think, in upstate New York, that still makes things in America. It's really hard to find companies that make accessories in the US anymore, like shoes or hats. But there are still companies out there, so we found one for our shoes. This is Paul. He takes all the pictures for WRATH Arcane. He's awesome, and he's out there somewhere. Yes. And he was super stoked on the spring shots because of how warm they felt and what he was able to do in his studio with getting the idea of spring and summer and sun outside when really outside it was looks like today. Another shot of the shoes and more of the details. Also, we started losing the masks because as we grew, some of our accounts thought we were trying to make terrorism look cool, which so we got rid of them because I didn't want to at all promote that image, but I still wanted to kind of hide the face because I don't like the idea of models selling clothes. Like when you go to New York and you see giant Calvin Klein ads of a dude with his shirt off and you see about 2 inches of a waistband, like what is that? DPA is a private label we're doing for a chain called Metro Park, which has a lower price point. They're in malls, so it's really hard to find American-made products in there. Like I don't think there are any. But through our relationship with our manufacturer, we were able to negotiate prices down, use cheaper fabrics, and actually put American-made products in big box stores in the U.S., which we're super stoked on. Woo! There we go. LeBron James wearing some WRATH ARCANE on the Jon Stewart Show. Cleveland's a small city, so if you have something going on, as Danielle's good conduit of these things, like people meet each other, things happen, and we were able to get things on LeBron, and now we're doing a lot more NBA guys, and the fact that we can do our own patterns really helps us out. Like if you look on the left, that's our medium, that's the sloper for the front of a woven shirt. So that's Brian, that's LeBron, and then that's Amari Stoudemire. So you can see the difference. I don't know. So as our men's business grew, we started finding, we sized like double extra small through quadruple extra large. A lot of girls were buying our stuff, but it didn't fit really the way it should on a girl. And Dana has been, bugging us forever to do a girls line, and so we finally, for fall of next year, started a proof line that we just got done selling, or actually we're still selling right now. And it's doing really well for us, so we're going to get into some girl stuff. There's some of the girl stuff. That is probably our most popular. Dana called it the option scarf. It's actually a tube with some holes, but you can wear it like 6 different ways, I think. It's pretty awesome. But I don't know anything about girls' clothes. Like there was a girl outside smoking, and I said, "Is your shawl keeping you warm?" And she's like, "It's not a shawl, she said some word that I didn't know what it was. More guy stuff. Again, like details on the inside, silhouette's basic, but all of the detail is happening on the inside. And this was last week in Las Vegas. There's Dana again. That's Brittany, and that's one of our accounts from DC that we've had for a long time. And that's my birthday. Thank you very much.